Good morning, guys, and welcome to the podcast. I'm really delighted to introduce today's speaker, Bref McHugh, coming out of Florida, and he helps aesthetic business owners grow, market, and scale their practices. He's also an author. He's got a book, and I'm really happy to have an accomplished entrepreneur on the podcast in this area. So, Bref, welcome.
Chris, thanks so much. Really excited to be here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, briefly introduce yourself, and I'm really excited to dive into the fireside.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Bref McHugh, I am the founder CEO of Clinic Grower. So, as you said, we're based in Florida, in Tampa. And what we do is we basically install growth marketing systems for medical and aesthetic practices. Just before we got started here, we're talking about med spas and cosmetic surgeons is another area of the market we serve, and also some vein and vascular practices. Our mission and our mantra really is that we are proud to be able to participate and help and support our clients, our practices to help people to look better, to feel better, and really most importantly, to be better versions of themselves. So excited to dig into it today and to cover as much ground as we can.
Excellent. Noel, well, I've always been interested in aesthetics. And what are some of the trends for marketing aesthetic practices, and how can clinics learn this and stay ahead of the curve?
Yeah, great question. And with the world, essentially, with the digital marketing environment, it's ever changing, right? And so there's a number of different things we'll talk about today, perhaps, that we want your listeners to understand so they can stay ahead of the curve. And there's also really those fundamental marketing proponents and components that want to make sure that everybody who's listening or watching, that they get the opportunity to maybe do a little audit or a check to make sure that they're in a good situation when it comes to setting up their business, their practice for success. Because as you talk about it, as you coach your listeners, our business it's a medium for us to enjoy a better life and to help people and to contribute. And with that being said, some of the things that we see as we're here in 2024, almost 2025, the fundamentals are really most important. And that's understanding the 5 Ps of marketing, essentially, the product, the price, the promotion, the place, and the people, your core avatar. In our book, the book that I wrote earlier this year, Seductive Digital Marketing Sales for Aesthetic Practices, we go into great detail in the book. But to summarize, really, I think one of the most important parts for any business is to really get a dialed in understanding of their core customer, their core patient, their core client that they're looking to serve, they're looking to help, they're looking to help to look better, feel better, and be better. And there's ways that we can do that by, number one, just doing that assessment ourselves, as far as, how you have the opportunity, you can help like almost anybody. And from being in practice, that there's, I wouldn't say an infinite amount, but it's a wide breadth of people that we can help. But then it comes down to asking yourself, who do you most enjoy helping? Who do you most enjoy working with? What gives you joy so that you can be that best version of yourself and serve to the best of your ability? So thinking about those things, as far as that, your best client, who you're looking to serve, and then from the business standpoint as well, from a business growth standpoint, who are those most profitable clients that you can serve as well? And so that's really the foundation, is understanding your core market. And then we're not going to get into all this stuff today, but having appropriate delivering value so that you can price appropriately, and understanding the promotions that you're going to need to do, which we might talk a little bit about. I might have some tips there when it comes to growing the business. But really, that core foundation of understanding the product, of the services that you want to promote, the people that you want to serve, the marketplace itself, the pricing strategies, and those core fundamentals. So with those fundamentals in place, some of the trends that we're seeing are that in a world that has a lot of distraction, if you will, Chris, or the advertisers are vying for attention, it's really standing out in the marketplace and conveying your personality, the personality of yourself as the practitioner, the practice owner, the business owner, the person, right? With some authenticity. Your podcast and your content is just a great example of that, right? And what we love to do, and this can be a challenge for some practices, is to help to basically to get the best from them when it comes to content, just talking about what they do, getting on video, talking about the things that they love to talk about anyway, which is how they help patients, how they help clients, the services that they offer, some of the things that they're most proud of. But it's just getting that, recording it on video, and then we take that type of content, we're able to leverage it through content on blogs, on websites, on Instagram, on Facebook, and do all these advertising strategies. But I actually did a webinar recently myself, which was titled How to Educate, Inspire, and Attract New Patients in 2025. And right now, it was actually called that, and right now, because the strategies are, they're working right now. And we see that it's that video content, it's that imagery of the team, it's being personal. It's almost, I'm not sure if you've ever seen those types of documentaries where you get the behind the scenes. I'm a big sports fan and a big soccer fan, so I love seeing the behind the scenes in the club and the dressing room and stuff like that. And in a world of digital connection, clients, patients, consumers are craving more of that as well. That connection with the practice before they come in there, especially for new clients that are trying to get to know you. They're looking to, what I call, to build up those know and trust points. So they get to know you a little bit, get to like you a little bit, and have that trust before coming into your business, your practice, where they can be quite vulnerable in situations and there's maybe fears to have to overcome to make those transformations. So there's some of the things that we see are really foundational and things that we see are performing really well when it comes to growth, is using that type of content and extending it then through advertising, through your organic channels, through your Instagram, through your Facebook, through YouTube, in order to inspire those patients, in order to educate them more on your services and then attract them into your business.
Yeah. It's like the Gary, it's like the 1-2 punch, 1-2 knockout, give them, educate. And it's really interesting how businesses are direct to consumer now with social media.
Mm.
So when it comes to content marketing, what works better? Is it text? Is it picture? Is it video? Is it podcast? How can clinics use this to attract and engage?
Yeah, I love that question. I love the Gary V, the jab hook reference there as well. With what's best, there's one of the, I think, mistakes, and I did another webinar recently, the top 7 mistakes in digital marketing. I think the mistake that a lot of businesses make or practices make is, while focus is good, but is relying and expecting one thing to do it all, like a silver bullet. And there is a lot of that kind of going on in the marketing industry right now with, maybe see Facebook ads yourself and it's, hey, do this one thing and you'll flood your practice with new patients. And it's unfortunate because it can create a false expectation, really. And what works best is really an integrated approach, quite honestly, is number one, making sure that you're delivering a great service. If all of the advertising mechanisms of the world and the internet blew up, and you only had to rely on one thing, you'd want to be able to rely on your reputation. So that really is at the center. And even as a business that's starting and growing, you're going to be growing that reputation. You're going to be, most practices that we start with, they're doing injections or treatments on friends and family first of all. And all of a sudden 2 years later, wow, they've got a full schedule. But it's really just, number one, doing the right thing, having tremendous service, delivering a remarkable experience for your patients. And then when it comes to the marketing, the digital marketing components and strategies, an integrated approach, having, number one, a good website really is important. It doesn't have to be a super expensive website, but just having a good website where when patients are coming to find out more about you, that they can really have a good first impression, right? They can learn more about your business, about your practice, about the services, some of the simple things, and get to know you, get to know the team a little better. One of the mistakes I went through on the recent webinar was just for some businesses, the lack of that personal connection. You go to some of the websites and it's, wait, there's not even a picture of a human being here. And then they're showing the office, but it's just a chair and there's no people in the building. And don't do that. And then when it comes to layering on additional items, some of the basic things for the listeners, for the viewers, a good Google business profile. That's where you have that. It's free. I want to talk about the free stuff here for listeners. We'll talk about paid things in a while maybe, but leverage all the free stuff at your disposal. Like Google business profile, Google is saying, here you go. Google is that 800-pound gorilla. It's chewing up the share when it comes to searches. So to be able to use that, and it's great. You can put pictures of you and your team on it. You're able to get reviews from patients, which we'll touch on in a minute as well, and build it out with your services and do updates. And Google loves that. When you use their free tool, Google says, hey, cool, thank you. We're going to show you your business to more patients and people in your marketplace. So definitely use that free Google business profile. The reviews, as I just mentioned, they're so key. I think everybody understands that, but it's just having really a system in place to get reviews is crucial. And I always talk about technology is great and you can certainly leverage technology to get more reviews and use automation, and that's helpful. The single most valuable tool for all of your listeners in their business to get reviews is going to be culture, creating a culture of asking for reviews, asking at the right time, getting those reviews, making it easy for the client, easy for the patient to do it, whether it's QR code is cool, giving them a business card, but honestly, just asking them and somebody's beaming after their treatment saying, looks like you really enjoyed your treatment, or wow, you look great after your last treatment. How's your experience been? It's been amazing. I'm not sure if you'd do me a favor, but if you wouldn't mind leaving a review for us, it would mean the world for us. That'd be fine. Cool. Here you go. I'm going to text it to you right now. Awesome. Did you get it? Sweet. Perfect. Now, I know what's going to happen. You're going to go into the car, you're going to get busy. So if you don't mind, if you leave it out, it really would mean the world to me. Things like that culture and gamifying with your team. I get really passionate talking about reviews because they're so valuable for businesses and for practices. And the volume is helpful, especially when you see other practices that are getting hundreds and thousands of reviews as time goes on. It becomes a factor. And even when you're starting out, it's okay. Just get started, create that culture and start getting those reviews. So they're some of the foundational things, and we can definitely talk more about these ad platforms and getting more advanced. Definitely here to serve your listeners and your viewers and see what will be most valuable for them, Chris.
Yeah. The other question I have for you is I always ask every single guest now because AI is so important. And so how is AI shaping the way aesthetic practices market and operate their businesses?
Yeah, so it's such a great question. And man, we'll have a different answer and a better answer next year and the year after, because it's so relatively new, right? Or at least the consumer reach to be able to use AI is very recent. And so what we see with our clients and businesses in the space using AI, number one, it's coming into play in a lot of the tools and products that businesses are already using. They may not even know, but there's AI that's been injected into their softwares, into their systems, a lot of the tools they're using already. And really relative to the growth aspect from a marketing standpoint, we see a lot of application for it when it comes to just number one, simple business processes, simple operations with clients that are looking to do things quicker, faster, especially in the marketing standpoint, when we'll share content calendars and help to direct or guide them. But for your listeners here, for example, ways that they can use AI, again, free stuff would be Chat GPT, for example. Go there if you get inspired instead of starting with that blank piece of paper. Chat with Chat GPT, give us some ideas, give it some good prompts, and allow it to inspire you to create that content and to solve some of those problems that used to take a lot of time to dig through different articles on the internet or whatnot. But there's just some simple ways. And from the marketing standpoint too, it has been a challenge for some businesses to do good photography and video. And there's so many great tools out there right now where you're able to basically train the AI to understand your profile and what you look like. And if you're not able to, go to a beautiful beach or take a wonderful photograph with this amazing scenery that might look good in an ad or your website, you can have AI do that for you. You can take a photograph from the moon, if that makes sense as well. So there's a lot of cool things when it comes to creative, when it comes to creating assets for your business, essentially. And then also on the automation standpoint, conversational AI through text messaging, through email and voice is really picking up. It's improving. I'm actually demoing quite a lot of that right now as well to see how that can play a part, assisting a lot of our practices. But we do use that type of technology relative to the conversations that we help to nurture for our clients. They're generating a lot of inquiries, and in some situations, if they've got a staffing situation where they can't necessarily maybe get to that person as quick as they would like, or the calls are coming in and different things, we extend that AI as a support mechanism to conversations. And a lot of our practices, most of our practices, they love speaking with patients, of course, as quick as they can, but sometimes due to the work that we're doing perhaps, or if they're doing their own marketing, then it adds volume. And it can be hard for some practices to scale that component. So while AI is very helpful, we do actually also use our own appointment booking concierge team. So they become an extension of the practice. They train, and we actually help our clients to handle and to schedule people and visitors and patients 24/7. But the AI piece, ChatGPT is a great resource. There's a ton of great tools out there, and it's definitely it's definitely a really cool evolving landscape when it comes to using AI from a growth perspective to businesses. And I actually talk about that a little bit in the book as well, because the book was published right when it was breaking and it was being used. So I did, oh no, I have to add another chapter right when I thought it was finished. And I did a short little chapter on the end of the book as well.
Yeah. This AI is so fascinating because it's general purpose infrastructure. And when there comes a point when you're scaling and you've got new leads and your video, your content marketing, you've got AI scaling quantity, quality. So when you're facing this growth restriction, what are the biggest challenges practices face and how can they be overcome just with technology, software, systems, et cetera?
Yeah. So great question. When it comes to that kind of maybe that plateau or that you're stuck in a place where, hey, I want to grow, I want to get bigger, I want to, grow my business. Number one, I think is it comes down to doing that assessment, right? That audit. Technology can absolutely help. Number one, you just want to take a look at your business, have a look at the person looking in the mirror and see what's happening in my business right now. What's the patient experience? Cool. Check. Everything good there. Staffing, check. Do we have good operations? Check. And if not, it's understanding what are those specific challenges, those bottlenecks. And what I see when speaking to a lot of practices are that the number one challenge that I really see is that there's when it comes to growth and growing, it's the challenge and the bottleneck of being able to keep up and the speed to lead. Really, that's like a big problem for a lot of practices. And so, as we were just discussing, AI is a very important part of that. And even what we see as well is practices that maybe they can still speak, especially for solo practitioners, they can still see the patients, they can speak with them, but then they start to do something that works, or all of a sudden they hit a load of referrals, or they start to do some marketing, and then it's, oh no, now I'm in a bottleneck. So that the speed to lead, either having those team members that are there, having that opportunity to bring the right type of people in, but certainly leveraging AI, leveraging conversational AI and automation is a massive opportunity. And also just tracking the data piece as well, tracking what is working, what isn't working, what can we do more of, what can we do less of, instead of licking the finger and kind of putting up in the wind, is just using data to really guide decisions. And that still is a challenge for a lot of practices. One of the tools that we use, for example, called Growth Express, or we set up a dashboard that it integrates and just tracks the sources from where leads are coming from, inquiries are coming from, and it ties into the automation. So having a good tool like that, I think, is a big opportunity for a lot of practices as well to help them to grow, because you want to have that foundation again. And before you put more fuel on a fire, in order to stimulate that growth, is just understanding and having that tracking ability so that you can make good decisions. And then I see when it comes to growth and challenges that a lot of practices have is doing starting to do the right thing, perhaps in the wrong way. And what I mean by that is, okay, cool. Now you're starting to do some marketing, some advertising, because you've tapped out on your referrals. You've got a referral program in place, hopefully as well, that are free thing, referral programs for practices, great opportunity, formalize it, membership programs. But then when it comes to doing the advertising on top of it is just approaching a platform in the wrong way, not having a good strategy. I spoke at the webinar I did at the beginning of the year, the 2024 digital marketing plan, which is make sure that before you go to do something, before you go just jump in the car and drive or go for a run, is know where you're going, right? Know where you want to get to. That's always helpful. And similarly with marketing and advertising is understanding, okay, what's my objective here? Just looking to, hey, I just want to grow. So I'm going to do this stuff and grow. But what does that mean? What part of your business represents the best opportunity to grow? What type of clients do you want to see more of? What type of customers, patients do you want to see more of? Okay, what's important to them? Okay, what do they need to hear in order to make that decision? Thinking about the messaging. I talk about the market, the messaging, and the medium, and just understanding who is your market. How can you speak to them so that they know that you care, that you understand them, and then creating a framework. Essentially, I'm a big Dan Kennedy, student essentially, and so using that problem or that pain, understanding it or agitating it, and then helping to solve it by introducing your solutions works really well from a type of framework when it comes to creating that message. And the medium as well. Facebook is going to be different a little bit than Instagram. It's going to be different than Google for sure. It's going to be different from TikTok and Snapchat. So just understanding those components, the market, the message, the medium. I think they're probably the three big things I would say. The speed to lead is the strategy when it comes to marketing. and just making sure that there's tracking in place as well.
Ooh, excellent. How can people find out more about you and reach out to you and see the wonderful work that you're doing?
Yeah, for sure. So easiest way really is clinicgrower.com, CLINICGROWER.com. I am on LinkedIn as well, Bref McHugh. Feel free to reach out. I really love that platform. And actually something I'd love to share, if it's okay, I'd love to be able to share a free copy of our book with your audience, if that was okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. How can they find it and check out and read and get more information?
Yeah, for sure. So to get the book, it's Seductive Digital Marketing and Sales for Aesthetic Practices. It's just clinicgrower.com/free-book. And we'll be able to send that book on to your audience as well.
Awesome. And again, for the audience, I really encourage the audience to check out Bref's resources. And again, thanks so much for a wonderful conversation in this fascinating area.
Absolutely loved it, Chris. Thanks so much for the time. Really appreciate being on the podcast.